All right, so good evening, everybody. Thank you. We have 78 people in this concert this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Or as Yoshi just said, it's not evening for all of us. Thank you from everywhere you're tuning in to see our very first Bassworks at Home evening program tonight. Thank you, Yoshi. In person, online, it's almost a tradition that Monday night is Yoshi Horiguchi night, and thank you for continuing that tradition with us tonight, Yoshi. It's such a pleasure to have you. So the first thing I'm going to do in the chat, I'm going to send a Google Doc link right now for tonight's program. There it is. And if anybody else comes in, you might see me post that again. That's just if I've seen someone who might want to open it, it'll be right there. So I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I have to say, what an awesome first day we had. Thank you so much to all of your flexibility. We had some tech issues. I knew we would, but we figured them out. Everybody was flexible. Everybody's attitude was awesome. And tomorrow and the next days are going to be even better because of what we did today. So thanks for a great start, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to Yoshi.
All right, everyone, welcome. We are here on Monday day. I was about to say Monday night, my name is Yoshi and I play the bass. I'm on faculty here at Bassworks, and we're gonna play a performance, a series of 3 tunes, 3 sections. The first section of tunes is 2 tunes by bass player and composer named Xavier Foley. He'll give an introduction to this piece after I finish speaking here. And they're called The Mystery and The Dance. Xavier is like one of the most incredible bass players alive right now. Just if you haven't checked him out, any of his recordings on YouTube, like definitely do so. But he's one of the few bass players to win the Avery Fisher Prize. Is kind of like the Nobel Peace Prize, but or the Nobel Prize, but for music. And the other 2 are no other than Edgar Meyer and Dashun Zhang. So Xavier is, I think, rightfully up there with joining them in those ranks. And so I'll play 2 of his tunes, and I'll follow that up with a series of tunes called Firesides for solo double bass, written by my friend Leeda, Fink. She and I spent a few years on the road together, traveling across the country, playing in a trio, flute, viola, and double bass. And on the road, we got to know each other both as people and really well as musicians. And so when I commissioned and asked her to write this piece last year for me, it was nice because it felt like it didn't feel like she was writing it for just an anonymous bass player, but it felt like she was writing this piece for bass with me in mind after having spent a lot of time on the road, getting to know me as a musician and person and a bass player. So each of those movements in Firesides will be accompanied by a folk tale, an American folk tale, which will be read and narrated by Elizabeth Honeyman. So you'll hear the story, and then you'll hear the movement, story, movement, story, movement. And the last suite I will be playing is the Sueños Dreams Suite for bass and piano, written by Andres Martin. I was scrolling through YouTube one day, this must have been like 2015 maybe, and I'm like, yeah, bass, all right. Ooh, another bass thing, great, all right, bass, ooh, bass. And then I came across a recording of Andres Martin's Concerto for bass, and if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It's on YouTube. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this piece? I have to play it. And so at the time, I was getting my master's degree in double bass at Peabody Conservatory. And so I'm like, well, I want to play this for one of my recitals. And then I decided to play it for a bunch more times after that, including Bassworks. I played it a couple times. And I've played the second movement a lot, just as a standalone movement. It's a beautiful nocturne. And most recently, I played it in a Classical Revolution live stream event like a few weeks ago. So we kept in touch, and he's actually joining us as faculty for Bassworks this year. So we're super, super lucky to have him. And yeah, I guess I'll stop there and I'll let him introduce the piece more when it comes to that portion of the program. But for now, I would like to turn the floor over to Xavier Foley.
Hey, yeah, thanks for the introduction. How's everybody doing? Galaxy here. I'm going to talk about the mystery and the dance, right?
Yeah.
So, I, you want me to talk about the composition process or just a few words about the piece?
Just a few words, and then we'll have time. Oh, after the all the music is over, we'll have time for Q&A to talk more in depth about the composition process after. So feel free to just say just a few brief things about the mystery and the dance.
Sure. So the mystery was a piece I wanted to write because, you know, in a double bass world, there's so many limitations of music. You have Botocini, you have Van Hall, you have Sperger, and so you have classical, you have romantic, and then you have some Baroque. But there's really not much else. I mean, yeah, there's the modern era of bass, but it's modern. It's got that random note kind of feel, and that's cool. But I found that there was a lack of music that represented the kind of sounds you hear in 007. So that's basically what mystery is. It takes that feel of that 007 theme and it turns it into something really big, right? So Yoshi here, once he starts playing that piece, the idea of the piece is to take something like that but make it sound like a symphony, right? So there's going to be a lot of instruments he's going to emulate at the same time on one instrument. So the next piece is the dance. That's another one. I mean, all my pieces are kind of like that. If I hear something and I notice that it's not something that's in the repertoire list, it's going to be written. So the dance was, it was a soul kind of piece. I don't know how to explain this. Like if you go to church or something like that and you have the preacher and the choir, and you hear the singer like, yada, yada. Or maybe it's some kind of music like Jill Scott or something like that, where it's like soul. That's what the dance is. So Yoshi's his job is to
Uplift.
share his soul with everybody here on Zoom. All right, I'll finish that.
Next to the recording. Yeah, it just click. Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, so here's the mystery. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we're going to move on to the dance. All right, thanks everyone. So that was The Mystery and the Dance by Xavier Foley. Xavier, thanks for that introduction. And now we'll move on to a series of pieces called Firesides by Leeda, Fink. And I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, she could not be here with us tonight, but she did get a recording, a pre-recorded introduction. So Wes or Colin, if you could play that.
Hello from Queens, New York. My name is Leeda Fink, and I'm just here about to hear called Firesides. She asked me to write this piece for him in 2019, and it was a great honor to do so. I played with Yoshi in a trio for a few years, so I know him very well as a musician, and I know that he's a very strong performer, especially when it comes to performing in a more kind of multifaceted way. I've seen Yoshi play for kids countless times. I've seen Yoshi play in thousands of movies. It's very captivating. So with that in mind, I wanted to write a piece that overtly played upon storytelling. So one of the reasons I first started writing music was because I felt that it was the best way that I could finish a story, essentially. I used to write a lot, but I always had trouble finishing stories. I write words a lot. I always had trouble finishing stories, and I didn't have that problem nearly as much with music, so it felt like a more fruitful choice in my creative energy. But I've always loved reading and writing long work, and I think that one of the greatest things you can do with music would be to tell a story. So what I chose to do for this piece, Firesides, was to take 4 popular stories for kids and embed them within the music. What I wanted to do with it is create a very tangible atmosphere, which I've attempted to achieve with the prelude and the the creative setting, which you'll hear Yoshi describe in the piece. And we had the option of performing with the narrator to actually speak the words of the 4 stories that I chose, or to just perform it himself. And I wanted this to be a flexible choice. I hope that to be able to perform it in many different settings and with many different kinds of audiences. And what you'll hear today is Yoshi perform the full piece and speak one line of text from each story. And the reason I chose to do this was because while I did choose these 4 specific stories for Yoshi to portray through music, I also wanted the music to be able to tell its own story independently of the words, if that was Yoshi's choice. And you might find that whatever's happening in your mind's eye as you listen goes along with this text from the story that they hear at the end, or it might be contradicted by it. Whatever happens, happens. And it poses a unique challenge to the performer to weave the actual verbal storytelling into a consistent performance. So the 4 stories that you will experience in music performance today are The Owl and the Pussycat, which is a very whimsical poem by Edward Lear. The second one is The Louse and the Flea, which is a Brothers Grimm story. Third is The Green Ribbon by Alvin Schwartz, who was the author of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is a collection of stories that I was uniquely terrified by as a child. And the final one is The Lion and the Mouse, which is a fable by Aesop. I particularly love that story.
Summer evening. Tall, creaking pines. The forest floor thick and quiet with their needles. A fire has just been lit in the clearing where we are camped. The sun is sinking redly below the horizon, leaving gleams in the pine needles before the long, dense shadows deepen into a cavernous dark, and the fire begins to crackle.
The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, wrapped up in a 5-pound note. looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh pussy my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried. But what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the balm tree grows. And there in the wood a piggywig stood, with a ring at the end of his nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon.
They danced by the light of the moon.
A louse and a flea kept house together and were brewing beer in an eggshell. Then the little louse fell in and burnt herself. On this the little flea began to scream loudly. Then said the little room door, Little flea, why art thou screaming? Because the louse has burnt herself. Then the little door began to creak. On this a little broom in the corner said, Why art thou creaking, little door? Have I not reason to creak? The little louse has burnt herself, the little flea is weeping. So the little broom began to sweep frantically. Then a little cart passed by and said, Why art thou sweeping, little broom? Have I not reason to sweep? The little louse has burnt herself, the little flea is weeping, the little door is creaking. So the little cart said, Then I will run, and began to run wildly. Then said the ash heap, by which it ran, Why art thou running so, little cart? Have I not reason to run? The little louse has burnt herself, the little flea is weeping, the little door is creaking, the little broom is sweeping. The ash heap said, Then I will burn furiously, and began to burn in clear flames. A little tree stood near the ash heap and said, Ash heap, why art thou burning? Have I not reason to burn? The little louse has burnt herself, the little flea is weeping, the little door is creaking, the little broom is sweeping, the little cart is running. The little tree said, Then I will shake myself, and began to shake herself so that all her leaves fell off. A girl who came up with her water pitcher saw that and said, Little tree, why art thou shaking thyself? Have I not reason to shake myself? The little louse has burned herself, the little flea is weeping, the little door is creaking, the little broom is sweeping, the little cart is running, the little ash heap is burning. On this the little girl said, Then I will break my little water pitcher. And she broke her little water pitcher. Then said the little spring from which ran the water, Girl, why art thou breaking thy water pitcher? Have I not reason to break my water pitcher? The little louse has burned herself, the little flea is weeping, the little door is creaking, the little broom is sweeping, the little cart is running, the little ash heap is burning, the little tree is shaking itself. Oh ho, said the spring, then I will begin to flow, and began to flow violently. And in the water, everything was drowned. The little girl, the little tree, the little ash heap, the little cart, the broom, the little door, the little flea, the little louse, all together.
And in the water, everything was drowned.
A lion lay asleep in the forest, his great head resting on his paws. A timid little mouse came upon him unexpectedly, and in her fright and haste to get away, ran across the lion's nose. Roused from his nap, the lion laid his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature to kill her. "Spare me," begged the poor mouse. "Please let me go, and someday I surely will repay you." The lion was much amused to think that a mouse could ever help him, but he was generous and finally let the mouse go. Some days later, while stalking his prey in the forest, the lion was caught in the toils of a hunter's net. Unable to free himself, he filled the forest with his angry roaring. The mouse knew the voice and quickly found the lion struggling in the net. Running to one of the great ropes that bound him, she knotted until it parted, and soon the lion was free. "You laughed when I said I would repay you," said the mouse. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion. A kindness is never wasted." Once there was a girl named Jenny. She was like all other girls, except for one thing. She always wore a green ribbon around her neck. There was a boy named Alfred in her class. Alfred liked Jenny, and Jenny liked Alfred. One day he asked her, "Why do you wear that ribbon all the time?" "I cannot tell you," said Jenny. But Alfred kept asking, "Why do you wear it?" And Jenny would say, "It's not important." Jenny and Alfred grew up and fell in love. One day they got married. After their wedding, Alfred said, "Now that we're married, you must tell me about the green ribbon." "You still must wait," said Jenny. "I will tell you when the right time comes." Years passed. Alfred and Jenny grew old. One day, Jenny became very sick. The doctor told her she was dying. Jenny called Alfred to her side. "Alfred," she said, "now I can tell you about the green ribbon. Untie it, and you will see why I could not tell you before." Slowly and carefully, Alfred untied the green ribbon, and Jenny's head fell off.
Slowly and carefully, Alfred untied the green ribbon.
Movement 6, postlude or moonrise. Thanks so much, everybody. That was Leeda Fink's Firesides for solo double bass, narrated by Elizabeth Honeyman. Thanks, Elizabeth. And this last piece, set of pieces I'm going to play, I will let Andres Martin introduce.
We can't hear you, Andre. Nope. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay, okay. I was saying that I don't have a ambulance here, but there's like 20 dogs in the neighbor in this block. So if suddenly you hear in the background, then you know what is it. Only 2 of them are mine. So first of all, a big congrats, Yoshi. That's a very fantastic program you're doing and incredible playing. So about Sueños, it's dreams. This was a joint commission led by Jeremy Kurtz, and 21 bass players from all over the world joined forces and forced me to write a piece. I got orders to write a suite with short movements. So I decided to write a suite about dreams, and I decided to take some inspiration from some of my own recurrent dreams, because I believe that many of the subjects of these dreams could apply for everyone in a different way, because most of us have dreamed with these things. So the first movement, the name is Falling Asleep, and this was actually a dream. I dreamed this melody, and when I woke up, I just grabbed my phone and taped myself singing this melody. Then I keep sleeping, and on a different day, I took it, transcribed, and just wrote the piano accompaniment to it. So I decided to actually keep really, really small to be truthful to the actual dream. So this is the first movement, and then the second movement, the name is Water. So every dream you may have related to water, wet things, and whatever, this is that dream. The third one, the name is To Die, because one of my most recurrent dreams in many moments in my life was about actually dying. I've been killed in so many ways in my dreams. I've experienced death before, during, and after in my dreams many times. And actually, most of them, it was not a nightmare. I mean, it was kind of a very special feeling. So I tried to put that on the music. The fourth movement is To Fly, and this is also one of my most recurrent dreams, that I'm floating in the air, and it's also many times that I had this is such a beautiful feeling. And actually, I'm not having that recurrent dream anymore, and I miss it somehow. I wish I could make it through. Especially now. And then the last one is the nightmare. Actually, it's a nightmare to perform. And this is, yeah, Yoshi, I'm so sorry. You're a brave man. I really admire you. Every piano player hates me so badly every time I have to perform this. So I don't know what's your story regarding to this, but I've won many enemies by performing this. And this is my most recurrent dream ever from all of them, which is to be chased and to be running nonstop and having to escape So that's the name of the last movement, which is escape. So before I continue and I leave Yoshi to perform the music, I just wanted to say to everyone that I am going to share one movement as a gift for all of you, a PDF of the movement of the first one, so all of you can have it if you want to try it. So congratulations, Yoshi, again, and thank you.
Thanks for that. And I'd like to introduce Allison Freeman on the piano. I will let her maybe speak in the Q&A afterwards as to if she hates you or not, if you've made another enemy yet. right. Thank you, everyone. That was the Sueño Suite. Thank you, Allison, for playing with me. Hopefully, you didn't make an enemy, or Andres didn't make an enemy of you. That was a killer part. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're now going to go into a Q&A session. Unfortunately, like I said, Leeda could not be here, but hopefully Xavier is still here, and Andres will be here as well. And we could just kind of have an open discussion. So please feel free to just type in the chat or unmute yourself for some question and answer.
Hey, Yoshi, do you want me to collect the questions and moderate a little bit?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. So the first question that came up was from Mark McNulty. And it says, what are your favorite solo pieces for the bass? Mark, do you have a specific person you were directing that question to, or is that just everybody?
It was all three of them, to be honest.
Cool. So the question was, what's each of your favorite piece, solo piece for the bass?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it changes depending on what I'm performing recently. But to be honest, like right now, I love playing Xavier stuff. The mystery, the dance, I love picking up my bass and just feel like, yes, I get to practice this today. It's so good. It like feels really good. It sounds really nice. Like, yeah. So that's currently my favorite two tunes to play.
So is it for me and Andres Martin too, or just Yoshi?
Seems like he wanted to ask everybody that. So if you want to answer it too, that'd be cool.
Andres, you go. I need to think about it.
Okay, sorry, I just moved to close the door because of so much barking over here. Can you remind me the question?
What is your favorite solo piece for the bass?
Oh my God, why do I have to choose one? I mean, I feel like every day I have a different one. I mean, my favorite thing is to play always something new. I mean, I love the traditional repertoire. I keep playing it, but I think there's so much fantastic music nowadays. So it's always a discovery, and I keep changing. So I feel like every time I have to play the stuff I chose, it's always my favorite. So hopefully it changes. If I have to choose from the traditional repertoire, I could tell you that perhaps the F sharp minor concerto by Botocini. But after I did that with orchestra, I found so many other things that were my favorite. Then I moved to Frank Sonata, and then to modern music, and I like so many things. Lately, I've been only performing my own music, my own pieces, and this is because I feel like I have a message to deliver that it's more deep than when I perform uh, music by other composers. But I love so much so many of the new composers and new things that we have in the repertoire. So it's an impossible question for me.
Is it my turn? But that was pretty deep, Andres. I don't know if I can match that. Because I'm a pretty shallow guy. Anyways. So I'm working on this new piece, and I'm really excited about it because it's going to introduce influences of Usher. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's an R&B singer. He's very famous for his hip hop, and I don't know how else to explain it, but it's some good stuff. So I'm really excited. You know, if I can get that, yeah. So that's gonna be my current favorite piece. That's not even finished yet. So.
And actually, I was having a lesson with Xavier a few days ago, maybe like a week ago, and when he told me that the inspiration for the dance was Usher, I freaked out a little bit because I'm like, oh my gosh, my first slow dance in middle school summer camp with Jillian G. Forgot her last name, but it started with a G. Yeah. No, wait, no. Yes, that was to a tune called "Burn" by Usher. So yeah, it was cool to have that come full circle.
It's all meant to be.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, next question for Xavier. How long does it usually take you to compose one of your pieces?
It depends if it's a solo, the duo, if it's an orchestra piece. Solos usually take 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how long it is. A duo, maybe 3 to 4. Orchestra piece. It really depends on how many movements too. But you know, the more this way and the more that way, the longer it gets. It's like math, you know.
Cool, thank you. Oh, someone says, "Can I have all the movements, please? It was amazing." We'll see. Let's see, this is for both Andres and Xavier. When you get an idea for a piece, what barriers stand in the way of turning it into a reality? How do you overcome those barriers?
Who's first? So I'll go first. It's funny. So there's another question that's kind of similar to that, which is if you're having a mental block, what do you turn to for inspiration? The funny thing about these two questions is I just made an Instagram story today about writer's block, and it's amazing how that just happened. So the barriers. What I was talking about in this Instagram story is whenever I have a barrier and I just can't figure out how to get past, you know, this bar, like just nothing's happening. I find that what I have to do is I have to just start listening to random stuff, like get influenced by stuff. You know, I'll listen to War to War. I'll listen to the Minecraft soundtrack. I'll do anything as long as I have different influences. Then when I come back to the table, I have all these new things that I can work with. So, Andres?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, for me, the composition process becomes harder and harder every time because once I did something and once I finished one piece and I have to start a new one, I feel like I cannot fool people in the same way again. You know, I have to find new tricks, I have to find new material, I have to find something fresh, at least for me. And so every time, somehow it becomes a little harder, especially when I'm looking for the material. When I have an idea, that's different because when I have a clear idea, then I save it like a treasure, you know? And so what I do, actually, I do have some sort of a method for that. I split my my process into 3 different stages. It doesn't mean that it's always in order, okay? So the chasing or discovering for new ideas is one of them. The other one of them is the listening or reading my own ideas and working with them, like tweak them and, you know, develop them. And the last part is editing, which is that sometimes is the longest. But so sometimes, because the 3 of those aspects are different mindsets. So my mind doesn't, I realized that my mind doesn't work the same for these 3 different parts. So within the years, I've been learning how to realize or create some kind of awareness of what kind of mindset I have at the moment I sit down to work. Usually the ideas comes from the more limbic or intuitive mindset, and sometimes they come in in those odd moment, while I'm driving or talking with someone. I could share anecdotes like standing inside of a public restroom just recording the fan because it's broken and it's doing a very crazy rhythm, like tickety tack tickety tick tick tickety tack tack, and I record that, and it's like I'm building this huge array of ideas that I have taped in my phone. I have those ideas written in my wall. I can show you. I have I don't know if you can see actually some of my wall. So I have all these ideas that I write on pencil on my wall. Whenever I got them, I have notebooks, I have so many things. So what happens is that when I realize I have this other mindset, or what we could call a writer's block, then I sit down and I go inside my archive of ideas, and I sit down and listen until I find something I really like. And most of those moments I find ideas, I don't actually feel those are mine. It's like I have an idea and I forget completely. And it's like, oh, when did I wrote or record or tape this thing? So I just transcribe it and I start working with it. Like, when someone give you some materials. The thing that I was able, and this is only in the last few years that I've come to a place when I can have this some sort of awareness of the right mindset to work. That has helped me a lot, because sometimes I get stuck in one of these stages that I will say, and when that happened, then I switch to another stage. So if I feel like I'm empty for ideas, that nothing new comes to my mind, then I can go and take one idea that is already like a work in progress, and I can work on that. Or if I feel like I'm completely not creative at all, or in a different mindset, then I go and I work on the editing of something that is currently ongoing. And sometimes I sit down because I have to finish one piece or I have a deadline and I don't feel like doing that. So then I tape myself. So it's kind of a switching between these three mindsets helped me a lot, because in the past I've had this feeling like I have to sit down to work, and then I sit down and nothing comes. And maybe it was most of the time because I was trying to do something with the wrong mindset. So that will be my attempt for an answer.
Wow, thank you so much. Again, that actually, somebody else asked about writer's block specifically, so I think that answered that question as well. Amazing. Actually, and this is an interesting follow-up. Someone wonders, to both of you, what happens if you have an idea and you don't have a way to write it down or record it in the moment? How do you not forget it or lose it?
If you know how to do it, Xavier, please tell me. I'll be very happy.
I record it. It's that simple. How about you, Andres?
Well, I can show, I don't know if you're gonna see it. It's like, oh, damn it. No. Okay, so I have 178 recordings on my phone, and this is the phone I've got like 9 months ago. So yes, I do exactly the same, and I don't know. I think for most of us, nowadays it's a kind of hard to be anywhere without our phones. So yeah, I do the same, Xavier. Exactly the same.
Hey, ooh, Yoshi.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were sharing pictures of ourselves when we were little. Oh, sorry. My fault. That was my apologies.
Bro.
Okay. I think a good follow-up to that question, if you're in the middle of composing a piece, how do you keep track of your place and not lose? This person says, how do you not lose track? Like they've been writing something and they just lose track of where they are in the song. Do you have a process where you organize yourself?
I have another simple answer to that. I use Sibelius, and it keeps track of it for me. Do you mean like you have an idea and you just forget about it? Because I do that sometimes. Maybe you had to be more specific.
Yeah, Eli, if you want to type in some more thoughts on that question, feel free.
Because if I write something down, I can't lose track of it unless my dog eats it.
All right, maybe he'll elaborate in a bit. Cool. Okay, this is for Andres, and it is, do you have any lit for string orchestra or full orchestra?
I want it. I want to do all of it.
Any what?
Any have you written for either string orchestra or full orchestra?
Yeah, I did. I have pieces for string orchestra, for chamber orchestra. I have several chamber works, and most of I've written for the bass. I also arranged for orchestra in some way, because if I have chance to perform it, I will. And since I sleep with the composer, then I can arrange everything with him.
All right. And our last two questions are more about the topics of your pieces, it seems like. Both of you, when writing pieces, how do you feel your music helps you connect with the message you're trying to express to the audience? Or the point you're trying to get across?
I need some time to think about that. Do you know, Andres?
Well, I just recently did some thinking about it. During these odd times, I've been thinking a lot, maybe more than I should. But I come across to the realization that I'm some kind of an existentialist composer, because pretty much everything I feel and I think, it has to be, for some reason, it has to be something deep and something very meaningful. So whether I'm looking for it or not, I found myself all the time trying to find deep meaning in my music, whether that reflects on others. But yes, I do care more about really deep feelings, big life questions, or something that means a lot to me.
I always had a feeling you were a deep man, Andres. There you go with the existential stuff. I got none of that. Yeah, I write music. The question was, what was the question again? Like about the.
Oh, wait a second.
Something about.
When you're writing your music, how do you feel it helps you connect with the message or the point you're trying to make? How does the music help you connect with the bigger picture or the bigger point?
I feel like I'm showing up to the philosophy class unprepared. I haven't really thought about the bigger picture. I just know that I write music because there isn't that much out there. And I think I explained this in the beginning, kind of like there are certain sounds you hear that you just don't hear it in the concert hall for classical bass repertoire. It's just not there. That piece, I can assure you, 100% mystery, that 007 thing you just played, just tell me if you've heard that before for bass.
I will try to answer that question for you, Xavier, if you may. If I'm wrong, you can always hit me whenever we meet in person, which is something I very look forward to do soon. But I think Xavier and we have something in common, that is that we are composers and players, and we play our own pieces very often. And something I've seen every time that I've seen Xavier performing is that he is the music he writes. So in the moment he's playing, it's like he becomes everything. And in that sense, I believe that it is very unique to be able to become one with the composition, with the performers, with the performer, and that instantly allows you to connect with the audience. It's like everything feels connected. And I don't know. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but I
right.
have a strong feeling that I'm not. Right?
I mean, I wish I could just take you around in this world to answer questions for me, because you do it way better than I can. Next time I go to the DMV, I need you to tell the folks my height, my weight, my social security.
So it is past 9 p.m. Eastern time. There are 3 more questions. Would you guys mind staying on a couple more minutes to answer them? Give me a thumbs up. We're good. Amazing. We have a quick question for Yoshi, and that is, how do you, as the performer, add expression and meaning as you're playing these works?
Well, I guess it depends on the pieces themselves, that they inherently have meaning or not. So the titles of each of these pieces, right, kind of give a lot of the meaning away. So it kind of helps me picture my own version of the mystery or the dance. But if I were playing like a Vivaldi sonata, right, like that might be a lot more open-ended. I might think of something like a lot more dancey that somebody else might think is more of a mystery. That might make somebody else think of, like makes them hungry or something. And so, yeah. Between that and, having talked with Andres for years now, just kind of going back and forth. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this recording? I played this, your concerto and your Sueño suite at this place. Here's a recording. I hope you like it. And just hearing what he has to talk about the music. And same thing with Xavier. Last week, we were able to have a lesson. And just hearing the inspiration behind that just kind of changed it all in my head. Plus, a couple of the wrong notes that I was playing. But yeah, it helps definitely trying to go to the source as much as possible. And that's what I love about playing Leeda's and Xavier's and Andres' works. I can go to the source and just be like, hey, am I doing this right? Is this what you imagine? So, yeah.
Cool, thank you. And I guess, and leading on to that, Yoshi, is it scary to play the pieces for their composers?
Whew. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, what do you think? Is it?
I mean, I don't think Yoshi actually told me that they're gonna be here today. So that was kind of a surprise. So hi.
Sorry.
I also found out the time of this sometime. So I definitely had thoughts. I was like, oh, like there are people listening to this who know this music really well because they wrote it, So it is definitely a different experience than playing for a normal audience. Yep.
Yeah, but also for me, I mean, it's a hard feeling, like this feeling that I have. It's a combination of just like, yes, it's scary in a nervous way, but it's also like I'm proud and happy to like be able to like kind of be an extension of Andres and Xavier's and Leeda's works and musical hearts and souls, and be able to I feel very privileged to be able to share that music with everybody. So yeah, it's a weird mix of emotions. Definitely nervous, but definitely mostly just like I'm so happy to be echoing the works and compositions and just souls of these amazing composers. Oh, thanks, Andres.
Question for Andres. Would you say sharing your dreams as a piece of music was odd? Was it difficult to make the movements accessible to the public when dreams can be odd and specific to you?
No, no, actually, it was quite fascinating. I uh, sometimes music could, take a lot of effort to write because it's a hard subject or very personal. This was personal, but this flowed very, very fast and very strong. I found myself many times, I mean, just standing because I couldn't sit over so much excitement I had during the process. And actually, I must confess that there were two more movements I had to take out because I had a fixed average duration of the piece. It was going to be too long. So maybe in the future I'll add some more movements or I make Dreams Part 2. But this was just such a fantastic. It would be odd to share my dreams in words, right? But in this way, abstract, it feels fantastic, and I feel like everyone can relate to their own experience, not necessarily mine. And that's something I look for in my compositions. When I mean, if I write about sadness, I will write from my place and my own sadness. But I think and I feel like whoever listen to it or perform it, they will relate to their own, not necessarily mine. So this is what I like about music. So without words, is that I'm not conditioning people to feel exactly the same I am feeling. They can feel it and connect to it from their own perspective. So in this case, it was not odd at all. I do have some pieces of music I wrote that actually are very hard.
Okay, and we have one more question. Oh, Yoshi, have you ever participated in a flash mob?
Lincoln, I'm so glad you asked that. I have not, but it is one of my top bucket list items. But it's not one of those flash mobs where like people on social media are like, "Hey, everyone, meet at 2 p.m. at Times Square." But like, honestly, just like unplanned, like everyone's on a bus, and just like chilling, and then all of a sudden, like someone starts singing, like, "You are my fire, the one," and then the next person starts singing along, "Desire, tell me why," and then the whole bus, like that kind of flash mob, spontaneous. Yeah, I want that. Yeah, that's my bucket list, but I have not been part of one, unfortunately. Maybe I'm just not that cool yet. But a new project for Baseworks 2021 is rising. So I have a question actually for Andres and Xavier. Um, and I'll answer for Leeda. How, if somebody wanted to get access to being able to play your works and get the sheet music, how could they do that? And for Leeda, please feel free to contact me for her works. But yeah, for Xavier and Andres, how do people get to your sheet music?
So all my etudes, I have 10 etudes currently and some other things. You can all get that for free. The best way to do that is to YouTube my piece. So for the two pieces he played, the first one he played was Mystery Etude number 5. The second one was Etude number 10, The Dance. If you YouTube those, in the description, you'll be taken to a landing page where all I ask is you exchange your email and you will receive a free PDF along with some marketing materials. You can always unsubscribe, by the way, so don't. It's going to be all right.
Well, I was going to say that I can sell all the pieces from Xavier too. They can get it from me. No, I'm just kidding. No, you just have to write me, contact me on my email or website, and I have all my pieces for sale, and I handle everything myself. So feel free to write me. I'll send you my catalog and some links for uh, recordings or videos if you need those. So yeah, just directly contact me.
All right, I think we've made it to our last question, and I'm going to read this word for word. Weird question for Andres. Would you say composing is like the Dunning-Kruger effect? For those who don't know, the Dunning-Kruger effect is the idea that something is easy in the beginning, hardest in the middle, then easier at the end, but not as easy at the beginning.
Okay, thanks for the question. There's one clarification that should be made is when you ask about composing, are you asking about the whole career about composing or composing one piece? Because it's a very different thing. So I'll try to quickly answer both. The whole thing about composing, it was kind of easy when I started because I was completely unconscious about what I was doing. And it got really hard in the middle. And I don't know if it's going to be easier when I'm old. Composing one piece, it's never easy. I mean, sometimes it goes, one thing is to have the ideas, and that alone is complex. And I could only tell about my own experience because on every person, the creative process is different. So for me, the process of getting new ideas is very random. So sometimes I'm full of ideas, that's what I tape myself, and sometimes I have nothing. So I had to get my own strategies to work on that. But there's no part that it's easy. The easiest part of it is maybe the final part when you are editing. It's like if you're making a cake, you know it tastes great, you know it's already done, you're just only decorating, and it's like, yes, let's spend so much time decorating the cake, but the making is just at least for me, it's not easy at all. But still, for some reason, I still like it. And I'm very curious to hear what Xavier has to say about this.
The Dunning-Kruger effect. It's easy in the beginning, hard in the middle, and then easier in the end. Is that the Dunning-Kruger? So the way it works for me is I don't know, man. So what happens is like it takes. This is a great one, man. The Dunning. So, the way it works for me, I'll just straight up the composition process, and it probably for everybody you can relate to this. So, first I need an idea. Where's this idea going to come from? So sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at different YouTube recordings. I'll look at maybe I'll look at the League of Legends theme for one of the characters, Tristiana or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch some hip hop videos and see, that seems kind of cool. So I get the idea first, and then next I'm like, okay, how can I make this idea and stretch it out to 3 minutes? And also, what can I do what other influences can I fuse? So maybe I'll fuse some country, into some hip hop, and into some video game music, and then some banjo, Bella Fleck from the Fleck Tunes kind of thing, mash them all together and see what I can come up with. The hardest part for me is the ending, right? For some reason, that's the hardest part. Ending the piece and making it satisfying. So I don't think that's the Dunning-Kruger effect though. So I'm sorry about that, man.
All right. Well, that is the end of our questions. Yoshi, I'll let you wrap it up in a second, but I just wanted to say thank you, both of you, for joining us this evening. What an extremely informative night for the kids, and to see like two really interesting yet different perspectives and such a rich array of different things that the bass can provide. Thank you, Yoshi, for bringing such an interesting, varied program to us tonight. So yeah, that's what I'll say. And Yoshi, if you want to say a final word before we end tonight.
Yeah, just a note to what I was saying earlier about just being honored to be an echo of Xavier, Andres, and Leda's works. I think just playing music for other people and sharing it as a gift to just say, hey, like this is my gift to you. I hope you love it, right? In the sake of in the name of just sharing and passion is important to do. And if one person does it, great. But what if the whole world did it, right? And what if the whole world were to use that as inspiration to, well, I gave them a musical gift. Maybe I'll mow their lawn, or I'll help them when they're sick, or just it's a huge snowball effect. And music is such a powerful tool and a powerful entity to be able to do that with. So everyone who's performing this week, everyone who's playing a master class this week, just like keep on keeping on. It's all for music, it's all for love, it's all for each other, and ultimately we're on this earth together. So thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Andres. Leader couldn't be here, but thank you wherever you are in a canoe. And yeah, thank you, Allison. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Wes, Colin, everybody for coming. It's been a real pleasure, and until next time.
Yeah, join us here tomorrow night for a program specially curated by Andres. So he'll have more to say tomorrow night for all of us from Baseworks. So have a great night. Wonderful day one, everybody. And we'll see you at morning warm up tomorrow.